The knives go out. No wins away. Alex on the hunt, trying to find a target, but might just be spotted, and he is. NOX will clean him up. The defuse will come through, and RYU now bring it to 9-1.
Okay, I mean, you can tell they're all just kind of chuckling as well. They're saying, what is going on in this game right now? 9-1 after 10 rounds, and Intit feeling great, 15 kills. Only 4 deaths. I mean, that's the score you want to see as the Reyna, right? Not the 2 and 9 on the other side.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man,
this is definitely an example of like my team's Reyna versus enemy team's Reyna.
Oh gosh, you gotta feel for Anna. It's just such a risk when you pick the Reyna.
Yep, that's a good decision.
Okay. Woo! Tan just going to back right up. They are going to leave Anna there. I mean, oh my gosh, is Anna going to pick it again?
He's got the read that somebody made it into 2. Dart goes out. I think it actually got a little bit of damage in, and Anna's just going to get picked off. He went back.
Yeah, just too curious. Too curious. I think the screen was up for a bit as well. Just tried to use that to his advantage, but gets spotted right away. And again, I mean, this Reyna can do so much for your team. You just get 1 kill on the other side of the map, and you're causing chaos. But if you get picked off, it's suddenly just a straight-up 5v4.
Trying to make his way into Kitchens or wrist. Holding it down. Tries to get a little bit of a wall bang to make it happen. He's respecting the potential push, though, and the presence that could be there. But Bright Blue gets a dart out. Oh, Alex is not in a position to trade that. A huge play there from Bright Blue to just get 2 for nothing. Now the final 2 members trying to make their way in through long. Saying, I wanted my jumper around the corner. NOX is still holding it down. Finds 3 in the round. And that is just such a major stretch here. Now 10-1, looking to make it 11-1 in the half.
Yeah, and then after that, you might as well just win the pistol and clean up the map. I mean, RYU is looking so strong right now, and Bright Blue getting that double. Such good value on the res off of it. He got picked off early in the round. He gets res back up, and then he gets a double just to help shut down any movement in mid. NOX, of course, just patiently waiting by yellow, just never moved that entire round as well. So what we're seeing is really also RYU is just very, very patient. They're not taking any risks. They're happy to do the retakes. Okay, Bayohan just responds with the Viper's Fit, says, you want to rush in? Be my guests.
All right, NOX situated in the back. I mean, he sees these Marshall shots. The trace around, just shooting forward, so he's got a general idea of where one's at. Oh, on the push. That's Anna picked off. The Lear not going to be enough. Doesn't activate fast enough. Free peek. NOX does not find the shot that he's looking for. Tries to line up another one, and then he's only got a shorty. So he does fall. Spike, however, still not planted. Just now starting to go down. Bayohan creeping forward. Checks around inside of the tube. Doesn't manage to spot him. They're playing around the outside now over towards the defender's spawn area. Risk will fall, and it seems like maybe in this last round of the half, we could see Noble Experience picking up a second.
Yeah, this is really good decision-making by NOX to walk around the pit.
Here comes Intit. He finds one, gets traded back. Bayohan trying to get the shot, can't make it happen onto Outlaw. And Noble Experience, they will pick up a second round win there. And as we look forward to moving into the second half, I mean, it's just 2-round wins for RYU to be able to take this. So if they win the pistol, the game is basically over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they are able to just strike us 5 on the pistol, get the plan, get the win, then you're safe on money, you're safe on the wins, and the map is over. But I give credit to NOX on that last round, not phased by the pit, walks around, pushes aggressively against the op, gets the plant outside of the pit, and forces Bayohan to basically have to cancel his own ult. So, again, they've got ideas, they're just not as well prepared.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really good positioning coming in from the side of RYU, and just excellent patience.
Yes, the patience, I think, is one of the biggest things, especially for what we often call the lower tier teams in Korea. Oftentimes we see them scrambling.
Yeah.
RYU hasn't really shown them this time around.
Yeah, no, they've just been sitting on a site and just being situated there.
See if they can do the same on attack.
Slow creep up here from NOX, ready on that hard check. That was Anna, but NOX just outguns him. There's not much else you can say about it. Just gets domed. Push around the back, Outlaw is prepared for Inted. Does make that a 1-for-1, but then immediately falls as they just come wrapping around the backside of sight. Soris just trying to juke out on all of these shock bolts. Just a smattering of damage. The spike will be planted.
Yeah, should be pretty safe to defend as well. They've got their back covered.
They do have the sync fights for a post plant. That's why we're going to be seeing the Johan playing all the way back over towards his attacker side. The shock bolts to try to back it up, but it's still going to prove so very difficult. Yeah, right blue that far forward. Ooh, throws down the tart. Alex will catch him slightly off guard, but bow out. NeilX finds one, tries to tailwind back, but Alex will manage to dome him with the classic. Takes quite a bit of damage. I mean, the slow horror plus the snake fight, it's so brutal to try to work with. Double peak, one's above, one's below. And with that pistol round win, RYU should have sealed the deal.
Yeah, I would say so. And even just in that round, again, the patience comes through, right? After they plant, they just know the positions they need to hold. I mean, yeah, NeilX plays a bit aggressive just to try to stay alive for a bit longer after he's been spotted by the double peak. But other than that, I mean, even right at the end, they're not phased by the fake, right? They just throw their utility and say, we planted in a position where we have vision. There's no need to rush it. I'm loving what I'm seeing from RYU. I mean, they just seem so calm and collected.
Yeah.
Okay, early screen on A. Looks like they just want to be able to make a fast push. So the wall is going to come out from the side of Nova Experience. NeilX on the hunt.
Oh, man, he's just going hard in the paint right now. Sees the shots coming through. Manages to find one on the left. Can't quite draw it out with the pistol to get Revy. But still, I mean, that's just huge entry value. Now Inted is situated here on the rafters, back sight. Just maintaining control. I mean, he's just stomping around. He doesn't give a damn. He's like, I know I outgun all of you.
He's just taunting them with his own footsteps. With his boots. There he goes. And just one left. Alex, I mean, yeah, what can you got to do something because it's just a frenzy. Just maybe looking for these, waiting for these extra cracks. Oh,
okay. Oh, he actually does get the dink, but Inted, he survives, and now that's going to be match point locked in.
Yeah.
So one more to go. I mean, rifles in hand. This would be one of the craziest run backs that we have seen in forever, and RYU of all.
Okay, listen.
They just wanted to discuss, like, yeah, what do you guys want to get for dinner?
Yeah, they're like, I should probably order now at the pace we're going, so.
Yeah, we should put the delivery order in now so that when we get back to the apartment, the food arrives.
This is the 5-head play for RYU right now. I can just imagine if the coach just walks up, the players weren't even expecting it. That's exactly what he says. He's like, all right, so I'm looking at my app, and looks like it's going to be about 45 minutes for the delivery.
Chicken? Anybody else? Chicken? No? Oh, okay.
Oh, my goodness. RYU, I mean.
No, I actually, in all seriousness, I do like this because, like, overall, I would say that these teams, like, just based on where they're at, they are, in the context of Stage 3, somewhat evenly matched on paper coming into today.
That is true.
So being able to come in here in the last round and just being like, hey, look, close this out nice and easy. We'll have the momentum going into the next map. You know, we'll really get in their heads. Don't let them run it back at all. But if they do get a couple rounds in here, don't panic.
Yeah.
You know, just keep everything stable. I don't mind that call at all.
Yeah, so, honestly, and we've seen it go the wrong way so many times in Korea, right? Where teams have just gotten too complacent. So
yeah, I like to joke that it's BM, but it's definitely not.
Right.
This is very much
definitely not.
This is about keeping level heads. So I like to see it.
And a fast strike through mid.
Ooh, this is a follow-up. Right clicks do get a couple connections in there. Down, but yeah, will manage to get the headshot. Good punish, tops himself up yet again.
Still.
Oh no! What are you doing over here? It's like dabbing in the corner.
Bright Blue, there was no communication there. Bright Blue saw, here's his teammate go down behind him, and they're all just still so focused on the spike. I was wondering, I was like, wait, aren't they? I was like looking at the map all confused because there was just no reaction.
All right, well there you go.
Okay.
I mean, sore wrist, he'll just close out the final two. And as Icebox often goes, it's a very one-sided affair as RYU take it 13-2.
Wow. I mean, really, really good showing from RYU more than anything else. Again, we've talked about teams just letting it slip after they get the lead. Some of these teams that are maybe a bit newer, right, getting a bit antsy and not being able to stay calm. Regardless of whether they were in the lead, whether they, had a round taken away from them, they just stuck with their game plan. They knew what angles to hold. Their communication seemed really better than we've ever seen from a lot of these lower teams. So really interested to see how they do in the coming maps, right? Haven and then potentially Breeze if we see a comeback on Haven. I'm interested to see if RYU, is this just how you've really grown as a team, or is it just Icebox where you maybe prepared so much more compared to the rest of the pool?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is the question that begs being answered. Haven now going to be separating Noble Experience from potential elimination. Need to win there to take us to Breeze to try to keep their heads above the water. I mean, looking back, most recent time that they have played Haven, it was versus F4Q. They were able to pick up 8 rounds versus F4Q. So going up against RYU, that definitely means that this should be a significantly closer map. It's just very much going to be on whether or not they can bounce back from how one-sided this is. Because this is the kind of loss that can very much stick with you and get in your head. If they are able to shake this off, move on from it, and then go into Haven and play their hearts out, I think that absolutely can be a map that they take.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, because not only did they lose 13-2, but it wasn't, for instance, just off the back of a hyper carry or anything like that. It's just the team just played better than you. And sure, NEOX puts up 20 kills, Inted puts up 19 kills, but, this was all done systemically. And so, I mean, for NOX, you just have to get back and say, all right, just forget that first map. We've played well on Haven before. Let's go there. We're looking at the numbers. NEOX taking the MVP in-game with a 2.4 KDA. But, I mean, everyone played well. I mean, even Sorwrist, right? Not too much action, but just doing what he was meant to do in this composition.
Yeah.
Setting up the utility, getting those reses, getting those heals, and then obviously getting the picks whenever needed if they made too much of an advancement.
Yeah, it was just solidly played by everybody. Like you said, I mean, clear communication coming through from the side of RYU. I mean, there's a very real chance that, Noble could just be struggling because of the pressure of this match, because of what this series means. That definitely is something that's going to weigh on you. And unfortunately, it's definitely not the start that they're looking for, but it's clear that things weren't properly being communicated as far as callouts and where people were located, so they weren't able to react on time. We'll see if they can shake off this Icebox loss and look forward to Haven to try to put a win on the board, because Breeze is on the horizon. I'm always happy to go to that map. I'm always happy for non-2-0 blowouts. So let's see if Noble can run it back and tie us up on the next map after the break.
Dive into you.
빠져야 되고, 걷고, 일단 설치가 완료됐으니까 이번에 살짝 미치게 났고요.
잠깐만요. 에이, 이러면 걸렸죠.
렌지들 선수가
하네요.
이걸 이기면?
와, 이거
급하게 좀 가졌던 것 같아요.
나가줘야 돼. 나오는 거 좋았는데.
와, 이걸 잡았어.
이기네요.
총기가 어려워.
인트를.
들어가요.
야, 얻어맞는 이유가 된 겁니다.
그리고 브라이트 블루 선수가.
이건 아니죠.
와, 이거를 과감하게
이걸 잡았어요. 네.
아하.
니르크. 그래도 체력이 없어요. 잘 나가, 이런 거. 이런 게 빨리 뛰면 돼요. 네, 왜냐면 저 나올 거 알고 있고. 서라운드 들었어요. 오늘 저희가 시간이나 갔거든요.
맞아요. 아하.
그래서 나쁘지 않은 전략이죠.
네, 이거
이거 굉장히 좋은 전략이어서. 자, 손발이 걸리네.
And we are back. It's time to get into map number 2 as RYU Gaming very dominantly took Icebox 13-2 over Noble Experience. Now we get ready to go to Haven. See if they can tie this up, take us to Breeze's third and final map, or if it's just going to be a nice 2-0 victory for RYU to coast forward into that final deciders match.
Yeah, I think if RYU plays the way they did on Icebox, things are looking pretty good for them.
Yes.
They just looked so solid. As we look at the MVP votes from Icebox, it's going to be 4 for Inted, and then we got
1 for
Bright
Blue.
All right, you know what? Thinking about that even one round where he's the Hunter's Fury to kind of push them all out. He had some good movement, but I will have to take points off for him not turning around in that last round.
That's true. Not hearing the shot happen in mid.
He's just like still watching this play. He's like, wait, something feels a bit empty behind me, and then he goes for the kill. But Inted, of course, I mean, just leading the charge in so many of those rounds.
Yeah, I think that all three of Inted, Bright Blue, Neil X, totally fine picks. But Johan, I mean, you could basically make an argument for just about everybody. Everybody did their job properly. I mean, the biggest thing for Bright Blue, I feel like, even aside from that massive Hunter's Fury play, was just consistently getting darts on targets, finding people with recon bolts. He was getting an immense amount of value when it came down to his utility usage. But Inted was just a solid foundation. If you were trying to push a site and Inted was there, it was just like a 1 in 10 chance that you would actually be able to eliminate him. And otherwise, he was going to multi-kill you. So it was a really solid look from him. So a very well-earned MVP win.
Yes, I would agree, and I think exactly as you said, everyone just got so much value out of what their job was, right? All their utility. I mean, even the reses coming up from Sore Wrist, the walls. They were all good, and this is one of those situations where if everyone does their job, usually the duelist is just going to get a bit more spotlight because their job is to get kills. Yeah. So it tends to happen. You know, some other games we've seen the Killjoys go on these sprees and rampages, so it can change. But it was just a really good game to watch from RYU. That's the best way to sum it up, and we'll see if that's an Icebox thing or just in general RYU has grown up kind of thing.
I mean, we can take a little tumble back through the annals of history here to see if RYU has played on.
You're like dusting off your historical records and your parchment.
Blow the dust off it like it's a tome from Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't think that they've actually played, at least not on days that I've been casting on Haven in a little while. I'll have to check like VLR.GG to
yeah, there might be something before or during the open qualifiers, maybe once or twice. But other than that, yeah, definitely not here on stage. So
yeah, it's been a little while. So we'll see how they fare on Haven. I mean, it's been such a swingy map for teams that have historically been incredible on Haven that have been struggling on it, such as New Turn is like the biggest example. But even the likes of Vision Strikers have had some roughness. But look at this. Okay, we will have a little bit of a trade out. So instead of Alex being in, it's going to be Lawrence stepping onto the stage. So Outlaw will remain.
All right, so Outlaw stays, and it's Lawrence coming in. I mean, honestly, Lawrence obviously has quite a bit of a reputation. Used to heavily just be a Jet player on his time in Go and Go. Ever since then has switched a little bit more to be a bit more of a flex player here for Noble Experience, as Ana has kind of been the main duelist. So we'll see if that changes, because last game it was Ana on the Reyna, and we did have Yudotan on the Jet. So I'm kind of curious on if this changes a bit more moving forward. Is Lawrence going to return to being the heavy Jet, or are we going to see more switches here on out?
See what they do have ready for us. See what the agent lineup is going to be looking like here. In just a bit as we get ready to get these guys into the lobby and have that agent selection come up. But we'll have to, of course, give a little bit of extra time, so bear with us as Lawrence gets settled on stage and make sure that all of his settings are nicely straightened away.
He'll need to just make sure everything is set up, but yeah, I mean, he still plays the Jet now and then, but we've seen him more commonly on, like the Silva and such, so I am curious that we've seen a lot of these row swaps in Stage 3. I'm also just interested to see that, I mean, not that there was anything against Outlaw, just the fact that they're still confident enough to stick Outlaw kind of seeming to be this main part of the roster now and having other players be more of their flexes. So see if that's something they want to, I mean, if they lose here, they don't have a chance to show us anymore. So they're going to have to make sure that they get another chance if they want to show us what their team is capable of.
Hopefully we'll be hopping in here momentarily. Our secondary monitors don't have the feed to see exactly where the players are at right now, whether or not they're loaded up into the game. We'll just go ahead and take a glance back at the draft, as we did have Split and Bind banned away, so Haven coming up. There will be Noble Experience first on the attack, so just opting into that first half defense here. Is RYU going to be looking to have a nice, stable start there, and look to close it out?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is their pick, so Noble Experience. You got to be a bit more prepared. On Icebox, I would say it was still more credit to RYU, more so than anything heavily against Noble Experience. But here and out, this was your pick. They will be starting on attack as well, so it looks like RYU going to be favoring that defense first. See if that pays off for them. It's starting to feel like maybe that's just RYU's favors just in general, right? They're being a bit more just calm, and they have their own systems pat down on defense. See if that pays off for them on a map with 3 sites.
It seems like RYU haven't played on Haven at all since the qualifiers at the beginning of the month, the 4th of July. Had to play it twice that day, once versus Be Infamous, then against Floma Gaming. Versus Be Infamous, it was an absolute stomp, 13-5, and then versus Floma, they lost 14-16. So what's the OT?
All right.
So you bet your bottom dollar they're going to be fighting tooth and nail to try to close this one out convincingly.
I mean, this is what you brought up as well, right? It's just very streaky. This is one of those maps that, even the higher seeded teams oftentimes either like go of several rounds or eventually actually kind of let an upset through every now and then. And I think it's just the nature of the map, right? Unless you're super ahead in terms of your plans and the meta, this just turns into a bit of a skerfuffle, so to speak, given that there are 3 sites, and we'll see if we're going to see Noble Experience able to take advantage of that. There's Lawrence on your screen, just making sure he's all warmed up and everything's ready to go. When we have these player swaps on site, sometimes we just got to give a bit extra time, but a price worth paying to have everyone playing on stage and get to see them competing live in the venue.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean not just going to be situated at home with your own PC, ready to just hop into the lobby, but it means that we get to see the players. We get to have these wonderful crane shots swinging through the studio. And hopefully soon TM we will have some audiences as well to back up these squads. And offer up their support live in person.
Yeah, it's always such a different feeling when you have audience. Just the energy, right? Even when things are quiet, just the anticipation. There's just a different energy flowing through the venue. And even with the players, I wish we were out there with them, like on stage. I wish there was enough room, as we had a bit of a graphics mistake there. But because whenever I'm translating, oftentimes I'll be standing by out by the stage, and getting to hear the players just pop off it feeds a lot of energy to each other. Oftentimes they're plenty loud enough for you to be able to hear it from the other side of the stage when they're kind of screaming and fist pumping after some wins or clutches. So one of these days, soon enough, we'll have fans able to see that and hear that themselves. Hopefully that day comes sooner than later. I presume we're almost ready, considering that we're reviewing the maps once again and kind of taking a look at all the players. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we're getting some stats as well. So, Noble Experience actually doesn't have a win on Haven. So they're still going to go with it. We'll see. I mean, listen, crazier things have happened, and we've seen teams just say, hey, we've prepped it enough now, we're going to bring it back. We've seen all sorts of different reasons. This just gives me some flashbacks to picking Icebox against Vision Strikers and that not going so well in Group B. So
I mean, RYU didn't have a win on Icebox, going into that map either.
That's true.
They've now brought their win record to 50% just to match their current Haven win record. So it doesn't always mean much. I mean, like we said at the top of the show, when you have these newer squads, the stat lines are always going to be so very skewed, and there's always improvements that can be put in. So. Noble Experience clearly feeling the most comfortable on that map, with Lawrence backing them up on the lineup, and thinking that is going to be enough for them to move forward on to Breeze, which then becomes very much a wild card, because I also was able to glance at RYU. They have not won on Breeze. They've only played it once, and I believe they lost 4-13.
Yeah, we haven't really had any close Breeze matches until very recently, so
yeah.
It's generally been...
Go Prince versus that was just an incredible map.
That was very much back and forth. That was a very, very fun game to watch. If you guys missed it, I definitely recommend that as one of the maps to go back in the VODs and check it out. But hopefully we get to Breeze again today, because like you said, it's still very much kind of in this research period, right, where there's nothing really set in stone yet. A lot of people have ideas on what works well on Breeze and what teams are doing well on it, but it's so new that I think it's still very, very much exciting to see teams play against different matchups. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's seeing the experimentation, what people can come up with whenever a new map comes out is one of the most exciting things about it.
Yes.
And then being able to see. Sometimes it's like some weird strategy that somebody came up with and they posted it on YouTube and Reddit. And then like the pros say like, oh, that's actually really good. And they start integrating it into their own strategies. Like that kind of stuff is always really neat to see, like the development process and really establishing like what are the top strats? What are the, the best ways to break into these sites, the best ways to defend against them, what agents are going to be run. It's always... It's really neat to see the development of all of those strategies and how it's all going to come together when you have, especially like regional stylistic clashes at a place like Berlin. So
can't wait.
I sometimes completely forget about this, but like we almost had Breeze at Reykjavik, which
you're right.
I mean, that would have just been, I think, way too crazy.
Yes. I'm very glad we didn't, but there was a world where that could have happened.
Like, we almost did have that occur. But now we will finally get to see it, in Berlin, and then see how the teams are going to be piloting it there and what the different regions' styles are when it comes down to that map specifically.
Yeah, honestly, with a new map coming in and obviously more teams, Berlin as already, I think there's higher expectations just even from a viewer's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Compared to Reykjavik. Of course, Reykjavik was a very successful first international event, but now Berlin with, full 16 teams, all the seeding coming through, and then Breeze. And now that we've already had a taste of international competition, how do the teams adapt off of that? After Reykjavik, do you train differently? Do you have different strategies now prepared per region? There's a lot of questions to be answered, and of course, for Korea, which two teams go there? I mean, initially everyone was like, oh, it's probably just Neutron and Vision Strikers. And now both of those teams may be a bit shakier than you would have expected. Meanwhile, TNL and F4Q.
TNL and F4Q definitely have an opportunity to get in there. Dom1 is not out of it yet.
That's true.
There's always a chance for them to run it back. So you never really know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
so seems like okay. So we're just having a little bit of an issue here with the observers. So we're just going to get them taken care of.
Yeah,
I guess
observing's kind of important for esports.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah, we're kind of blessed to have, well, a lot of them,
yes.
and then B, all of them are very good.
Yeah.
So even if we miss something, we can just go ahead and have the replays.
Honestly, that's such a blessing.
It really is.
Missing it and then never really knowing what happened is one of the biggest pains, especially in a FPS, right? Because things can happen in such a big instant, and it's really hard to assume how things might have played out. And in other genres, you can kind of start to see the patterns, but here, sometimes you just never know, right? Someone rounds the corner and gets two, and you're like, okay, well, was that because they weren't watching, or was it a duel? So it's great to have more observers and more replays. Always appreciated.
Yeah, but for the meantime, you guys get to just observe us in our natural habitat, sitting here.
This is it
as we move back to the podcast. So yeah,
well, it's been a busy week for you.
Yeah,
I hear. Yeah, it's been a bit crazy.
All right, yeah, we'll just tell that story. Why the hell not? Yeah, just a wild last day. Didn't really get that much sleep last night because I had a very long day, and then
life in Korea right here.
Yeah, and so I overslept today. Was a little bit late arriving to the studio, but yesterday I had to go get my visa and my ARC, my alien registration card.
Pretty
renewed, important. Because I decided that I should check when my ERC expires, and it turns out that it expires next Thursday. So a week from today, or maybe I think it's even Wednesday, actually. So it's next Wednesday. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I need to take care of that. Let me make an appointment to go to the immigration office. All the appointments are taken.
Of course.
Okay, let me try one of the other immigration offices. So I do that. Okay, great. I've got an appointment now for tomorrow.
Great.
So next day appointment, and then I had to get a million different things taken care of as far as paperwork's concerned. Tax records, income records for 2020.
Yeah, there's
to
a
go
lot.
in to reapply for this. My wife's residency certificate.
Oh, right.
Our marriage certificate. All of these things need to be printed. I don't have a printer. I need to get access to my tax records. That requires me to go to the bank. So I had to go to the bank yesterday at about 10 a.m., get a bunch of information from the bank, then go home, get the tax records off, from online using the stuff that I got from the bank, send it all to my wife, then travel to my wife's work, which is about a half hour from our house, which is about another half hour away from the immigration office. I had to do all of that, and then I got to the immigration office and waited for about 45 minutes for my appointment because I wanted to get there early. You have to go in. You have to buy a revenue stamp is what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
So you pay basically like $30 to renew your visa, whether they approve it or decline it.
Right.
You have to pay
you just have to pay.
So get that taken care of. Go double check, make sure my appointment's listed. Sit there and wait. They were falling behind, so I had to wait like an additional 20 minutes. And then get to the front, go sit down, talk to the female staff member. I give her the paperwork. She looks through it, and she's like, where do you live? I said, oh, I live in this area of Seoul.
Scary
and she's like,
question.
Oh, you're out of our jurisdiction. You have to go to the other office that has no appointments.
Yeah, you just got to make it happen, man. You just got to make the magic happen.
So there I am, panicking, being worried that I'm going to lose have my visa lapse and potentially get deported.
Yeah, deported
and then have to reapply for another marriage visa.
Oh, my gosh.
And when I so desperately said, what do I do? They have no appointments. She said, oh, because of COVID, your visa's been extended by 3 months. You don't have to worry about any of this until November. So I had a 24-hour cycle of panic and rushing to get all these documents gathered for no reason at all.
It's the greatest.
Yeah.
When you just spend an entire day panicking, running around like you said, all around the city, and you find out there was zero reason to do it.
Yep. I mean,
Well, hey, you're here though.
it's better than the alternative.
It is better. It's better than being deported.
It's absolutely better than not being able to live in my apartment with my wife, with my cat, and have to leave all of my belongings behind for God knows how long.
That
so
that
I'm
is
definitely appreciative that I have that extra bit of time. But this also means that never again will I let it get this close to that expiration date.
Yeah, that's always a bit scary.
So.
We hear all those stories about, especially in esports, of like people not renewing passports.
Oh, I mean, I've already been
and
through
such.
all of this garbage anyway in the past. At the beginning of last year, like right when COVID began, I had to leave the country because my visa was expiring and I was working on getting a new one established. So I went to Japan for like 36 hours.
Yeah, just like
just to re-enter a little bit later, and then re-enter as a tourist, where you have like a 90-day cycle. And while I was in Japan, that's when I got a call, for the Overwatch League, and they were like, "Hey, you need to get out because this COVID situation's heating up. So come to America ASAP before they shut down."
You're like in Japan.
They're like before they shut all the airports. Like, we need to get you out of there. So you need to fly to LA in like 4 days. And I'm like, "Oh, awesome! This is not what I was anticipating at all." And then got stuck in America for like 4 months. Finally got a work
Yeah, I remember
visa.
when you guys had to all be there. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh,
Hey,
I've
did
gotten
you-
tested for COVID for like 6 times now.
Oh,
And
geez.
it's just
You're
terrible.
a
every single
nostril swab expert.
time. Oh, the worst is the throat swab, man.
Oof.
I every time they do that, I just want to vomit.
Okay. Probably not the most heartwarming thing you guys wanted to hear on this broadcast, but now you know.
At this point, screw it.
On that note, for anyone listening, did you know that apparently now you can't just enter South Korea just to get a travel visa, and you have to apply online?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the States or if it's like every country now, but just for anyone who had plans in the future to visit Korea.
I think there's been some exceptions made.
Okay.
I think that I want to say it was France recently had an exception made with South Korea, because they've been tackling things pretty aggressively. I mean, like, you can't even go into a cafe.
Yeah.
Without having your vaccination card, so that just like immediately got all the French to be like, I gotta go. Okay, let's go. Just given that the way that cafe and restaurant culture is over there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if you want to travel, worth double checking what the requirements are. Obviously, it might be some time until you really want to travel, but when the time comes, good to be prepared. Because I know a lot of people have been asking about, like, even Valorant, like when does the venue open? Or people that are already here, of like, when do we get to go watch in person? And it's still very much in flux. Obviously, still being taking our precautions, but hopefully soon. I mean, I can't wait to watch Valorant like in a stadium or cast Valorant in a stadium with people.
Yeah,
this game's hype when you're watching it live.
It's
is
the
something
one
different.
thing that we haven't really had so far.
Yeah, because even
I mean,
Reykjavik wasn't open to the public. So
I guess technically we did do the only event that I can think of that's had an audience other, at least we did the first one. I think the Campus Clutch might have had a small audience.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which recently happened, but prior to that,
that's true. Yeah.
Prior to that, First Strike Korea did have a small audience. We had a 30% capacity audience, but then due to some additional restrictions that were imposed, we ended up having to cancel that for, I think, the last 2 days of the event. But for the first 2 days, we had an audience.
That's true. Yeah,
That was
Campus
pretty good.
Clutch, like you mentioned, I think might have had it as well. Campus Clutch was a cool event. That was cool to see. All the people in universities getting to compete. We saw a lot of people from different regions that had played in pro scenes before. Get to come back, but
Like, this is some new music. I don't know what's going on here.
they're just like, let's just buff this podcast even more. Just put in some music in the background. No, these are the replays from Ryu's absolute stomp on Icebox against Noble Experience. It was a Ryu's pick, though, so if you are maybe watching for Noble Experience to potentially have a comeback, there is hope. It's not like Noble Experience picked it and then got absolutely raffle stomped.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they were able to play a fairly close haven versus F4Q. So there's definitely a lot more hope for them to be able to take that and then end up sending us over to Breeze. Guys, we get it. I mean, we can assume what's going on right now. We don't have the power to start this game. There is some technical difficulties.
Casters don't have all the power in the world?
Everybody thinks that we've got that big red button. We both have to put a key in and twist it simultaneously. Like we're punching in nuclear launch codes. to start the game. That is not the case. We would love to get in the game just as much as you guys.
Oh, yeah.
As it turns out, our jobs, we enjoy them, and our jobs are primarily to
weird.
talk about video games and
weird.
cast them.
Unbelievable.
So while we're sitting here talking about nothing and visas and all of that stuff, it's not because we want to do that instead of casting the game.
Oh, we love talking about visas and paperwork and
Yeah.
taxes. And
It's so very exciting. I'd much rather do that than watch people
Yeah,
shoot each other
please.
in a video game.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'd love to talk about my paperwork.
So just bear with us. It's
It'll
okay.
get there.
It's going to be all right. You're watching this at God knows what hour if you're
That's
in
true.
America or Europe. So
What time
clearly,
is
like,
it?
there's not much else for you to be doing right now. So just chill
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Just relax. Enjoy the ride. And
And we'll get there.
as soon as we get into the game, we'll get into the game. That's just the way that it is right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It always made me chuckle just so hard whenever people are asking when the game is going to start, and I'm like, out of all my years working both as a caster and a producer, I can't imagine a single time when the casters were like, "Don't start the game." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in no game are they sitting there like, "Actually, don't start it yet. I just want to talk a little bit more."
I need a little bit more time to discuss my.
I'm actually
my
recording
weekend
this for
antics.
my own YouTube for my podcast. Like, just give me 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
That has never happened
No.
in the history of esports.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. So we'll get in there as soon as we get in there.
Yeah.
But
Which, again, hopefully it's soon. I don't have the answers.
yeah, we're just
I'm
waiting.
not God. I'm just sitting here and I'm just waiting to be told what's going on, whether or not we're going to go to a commercial break, whether the thing's ready or if it's all, I don't know. We're locked in
Honestly,
this room right now. Like there
yeah.
could be the servers could be on fire.
And we wouldn't know.
I have no idea.
We're just in our own enclosed studio. So they could be running around outside screaming their heads off trying to fix something.
Yeah.
And we would literally be no different than Twitch chat in this moment. We're
That's
just
very
sitting
true.
here
Yeah,
just
we're
waiting for the game to start.
in the dark as you guys are. So just band to get what's that? Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games.
We're all in this together. God, what an awful movie.
Oh my gosh. I think I watched all the Hunger Games movies on the plane, specifically because I just didn't have that much interest to watch them otherwise.
It's not okay. Sorry, I should before somebody tries to kill me. It's not an awful movie. I think it's an awful adaptation.
Okay, that's probably a really fair point.
I think the movie by itself is fine, but I think that if you have read the book, which I did do, the first one, I think that it's not very good because for a movie called The Hunger Games, there is not a lot of hunger going on.
It's very much focused, obviously, on a very specific part of the lore, and and like you said, as a movie, kind of as what would you classify it as? As a movie separately? Is it a action thriller?
I think it kind of not an action
Not really.
thriller.
Action drama?
It's it's like
Okay.
an action drama film.
It's not bad.
That's basically it. I mean, it's fine by itself. I think Woody Harrelson in it's great, but
Yeah?
I don't know. I remember reading the book for there was like an adaptation course.
Okay.
Because I studied film, and it was just about from books to film. Like, let's go through a bunch of different things, and kind of write reports on the adaptations and what we thought about them, and that involved reading the book. So I did read it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have. But the book was. I think the first book was fine, but
Okay.
I distinctly remember a part where Katniss is crawling around on the ground dying of thirst. And then she realizes, why isn't Woody Harrelson sending me anything from the sky?
Yeah.
Why isn't he sending me water? He's clearly watching me die of dehydration. And then she surmises that it's because she's close enough to water. She just needs to locate it, and then she does. Whereas she just kind of runs around, and then PETA is painted into a rock wall. And I'm just like, it's a movie.
Yeah. I mean, it happens so much, right, with books being adapted into movies where obviously it's marketed towards a certain crowd, and you kind of just take your liberties and just focus more on what could be a bit more viral, especially these days. It's like these days how every new restaurant or cafe, everything just has to look pretty for Instagram and Twitter and social media. It's much more about the looks and aesthetics than the actual food and the quality.
I'm so inverse on that. I think the dingier a place looks, the more inclined I am to go there.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a reason why dive bars are just a wonderful place to go. But
yeah,
honestly,
honestly, because because that means that they're focused not on that, not on the aesthetics,
Yeah.
but what they're serving. Right?
Exactly. But all right, guys, I'm being told that we're going to be going to a little break, so we'll be back. See you then.
I've got no tricks to help me now. I've got no time 'cause it's from now. Forgot my lines are going down, going down, going down. I'm caught in the
Alrighty, welcome back, guys. I'm being told that we are very close to being able to jump back into the game. So, yeah, for now, it's just going to be the return of the podcast. We can jump back into, I don't know, railing on beloved franchises and talking about visas and all sorts of other nonsense in the meantime. But, yeah, hopefully we will be underway in just a few minutes here. We can go back into the action and see who is going to be coming out on top in this series, whether it's going to be RYU fighting a 2-0, or if we can get a tie up 1-1 and then go to Breeze.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, I think we all want to see that happen, right?
Yes.
Especially just to see more Breeze.
Yeah,
but we'll see if Noble Experience is able to make that happen. Again, the first map didn't go so well for them at all. But map picks obviously have switched now, so it's going to. I was going to say swapped and switched. And they just swatched it up.
They swatched it up. Swiss watched it up. But yeah, we'll see. Like, you know, Haven. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about it endlessly because there's been nothing really else to discuss.
Yes.
But yeah, Haven's not too bad for Noble, so there's definitely a decent chance for them to run it back. What beloved franchise do we rail now?
Oh, I don't know.
We're talking about how bad Star Wars is.
Well,
that's not a
well, I
a
can
dead
only,
horse that's been beaten too much.
I mean, I can only join you in 2 of those movies because I've only ever watched 2. So
wait, like out of everything?
Yep.
Oh my god, which ones? Now I'm fascinated.
I've only ever watched the second one, not the original second one. Attack of the Clones.
Wait, you've seen Attack of the Clones, or you haven't seen Attack?
I have seen Attack of the Clones.
Oh,
and
no.
then Rogue One. Those are the only 2 Star Wars.
Oh God!
And this is always the reaction I get.
Ah! I'm in physical pain. You pick like 2 of the worst movies.
Well, so Attack of the Clones I watched because one of my friends, I guess this had to have been in middle school whenever it came out. He wanted to go watch it.
Okay.
And so I was just like, okay. And I hadn't watched. I mean, I kind of knew the original trilogy, right? Just because it's been around. But
you hear all the references,
right? But I've never watched it. I played some pod racing on my consoles.
Yeah, pod racing games are great.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, sure. And then I watched Attack of the Clones, and I was like, oh, the writing, even as a middle schooler, I was like, the writing in this movie is really bad. And I was like, there's no way the rest of the movies are this bad because they're supposed to be legendary, but this one's really bad. And I just came out and I was like, and he just seemed kind of neutral, probably trying to hide his disappointment. So I was like, I guess I just won't say anything. And then years passed, and then people wanted to go watch Rogue One, and I was like, okay, sure. I don't know anything about the lore, and especially now that it's going to this new trilogy and all that.
Neither did the writers.
Yeah, and then I walked in and I was like, oh, it really feels like I didn't need to know any background because it kind of made sense while not making sense.
That's definitely one where it's like you could just kind of go in and watch it.
Yeah.
For anybody who's probably freaking out, Rogue One is fine.
Honestly,
name a character from Rogue One.
I don't remember any. That's actually a great.
They're all boring.
That's actually a great point.
There's almost no development.
Yeah,
and
none of them really. No character scenes stick with me from that movie. You're right.
There's just there's little development for the characters in that movie, which is my biggest complaint about it. It's just a kind of a action set piece of oh hey, let's go into this film and watch them get the plans to the Death Star. That's fine. But you just don't give a damn about the characters at the end of the day. So it's But here we go. It seems like we are going to be jumping in. So taking a look at our agent selection as we get ready to move into Haven. Ana's going to be shifting over off of the Reyna onto Killjoy. Bright Blue is going to be moving from the Sova onto Cypher.